Okay, so welcome back to the sewing tutorial on how to get your overlap bustier top, which is the upper part. And I have gone ahead, I have a video on how to draft it, and I want to explain to you on how I was able to pad my overlap bustier. So you can see I have already placed this is my lining, which I cut exactly the same shape as my fabric. I have gone ahead to pad my fabric, and I also went ahead to pad my lining with the strong paper gum stay. So this was not planned. I was not supposed to show you on how to go about it, but I want you to get a better clue for you to get your own work even better than mine, because mine, I don't have time. I just want to create this time to explain to you better for you to get a perfect result. So if you go ahead to use this formula I want to show you now, yours will be better than mine that I'm using to shoot this video, because as I told you earlier, I don't have time, but I want to create time to explain to you better. I have put in a lot to this tutorial and to this channel just for you. All of this is not about me, but it's all about you. I want you to get a perfect view and understanding on how to go about your work. So all I'm asking from you now is to click the subscribe button, click the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. And please don't forget to like the channel, this video which you are watching, any of my video which you have watched. Please don't forget to like and share to your friends to also learn from what you have also taught you. So don't leave them behind. Also go ahead to share to them to learn as well. So I want to show you on how to get your pad, on how I was able to get this my pad. As I told you what I want to draft now, I went on to get a better way of explaining it for you to understand better than what I have here. So let's go straight into the tutorial. So what I have here now is my paper, which I want to make you to understand better. So what I'm going to do now is to get a vertical line just like this. To start my explanation, I need a vertical line just like this. So after creating this line, what I want to cut now is the one for my front. What I want to cut now is the one for my center front. That's what I want to get now. So how I was able to get my measurement from my center front, my shoulder to bust and under bust is 13.5. So my shoulder to bust is 10. So the distance between my bust point and my under bust point is 3.5. So what I will do now, I'm going to place 3.5 here. I'm going to place my 3.5 right here. And the distance between your bust point to your under bust, that is the same thing you are going to use to place to get your upper chest line, which is your upper bust line. So since I have 3.5 here, I'm also going to place 3.5 down here. So what I have from here to here is the same thing I have from here to here to get my upper chest line. So after getting my upper chest line like this and my under bust, I'll go ahead to place the same measurement to get my bust here. I'm going to place the same measurement to get my bust here. And you know, for the bust, our measurement is included, our sewing allowance is also included in our measurement. So what I'm going to do now, because this is my nipple to nipple measurement, which I'm placing here, I'm still going to place my sewing allowance right here. So you are going to get your nipple to nipple measurement here, plus your sewing allowance right here. Then what you are going to do after that is to connect. If you have a French curve, this will be easier for you to do, and if you don't have a French curve, you can also go ahead to do it just like this. So you are just going to connect it to this point like this. Then go ahead to connect this other one as well. So you can see what I have. So here is included my sewing allowance. So you don't go ahead to put only your nipple to nipple measurement. You're also going to include your sewing allowance, because after sewing this, it falls at exact point of your bust. So what I'm going to do now is to cut this out, and we need two pieces for this. Remember, this is the center front. I'm going to show you everything on how to place it and how to pad for it. This is a paper. This is the center front. How should I side front or side? This is the center front. See, I'm looking for a way to differentiate this from the side back. Okay, the side front and center front. So what I have here now is the center front, and you need times 2 of this. You need times 2 of this piece. So let's switch over to our center back. So over to my center back. Let me still rule my line. So this is my center front, and my center back, I'm going to place it like this. So here I'm going to rule my line like this. So after getting my vertical line for my center back, we are still going to use the same formula, but different description of our side, because you know your side is always bigger than your front, than your center front. You know your side is always bigger than the front side. If you know about corsets, you can relate to what I'm trying to say here. I also have a corset video which I have, so go ahead to watch and understand that aspect. This is a different formula, but similar thing to what I want to show you. So what I have here, in total of what I have here, I have 4 inches. So for my side, I'm going to include 0.5. So I'm making it 4.5. Remember, my center front, I have 4, and this other part, I have 4.5. So this 4.5, that is the same thing I am going to place at my under bust line and my upper chest line. My under bust line and my upper chest line and my side, I have the same thing. So what I'm going to do now is to connect all my lines together. So you can as well go ahead to make this other side for, if you don't have a French curve, for your lines to be straight, because this is exactly the same shape, but the other part I only included sewing allowance at the up. I only included sewing allowance at this side, but this sewing allowance is included in this. So just go ahead to connect it down to this point. Just like if you have the French curve, this will be much easier for you to get. But if you still don't have your French curve, you can still do it with your free hand as I am doing so. So this is what I have. This is what I have for my, because of no French curve, don't expect it to be as French curve. So this is what I have for my side. What I have for my side front. This is also times 2. You also need times 2 of this. Okay, so you need times 2 of this. You need times 2 as well of this, times 2. And this is your side front. is your side front. So let's go over to our fabric as I have already shown you. So this your center front is what you are going to use for this. And how to use this your center front for this part. You can see the reason why I told you to notch your under bust. You can see the reason why I told you to notch your under bust. So that's your notch there. Your side front is going to sit exactly on that your under bust point, just like this. You're going to place it at that notch point to this end. So when you turn it like this is how it will look. When you turn it, it will look like this. Make sure you are using the part that has gum. Make sure you are using the part of your pads that has gum. It's facing the wrong side of your fabric. Make sure the wrong side of your gum is facing the wrong side of your fabric. You place it like this. Make sure it sits at this end, and make sure there is nothing showing. Make sure it is aligned with this, and make sure this other part also is aligned with this. So you will see some excesses at this part of your pad after creating this. So what you are going to do now is to use your iron to press it and gum, just like the way you can see this. I press my iron on it. If your iron is too heat, make sure you apply a piece of fabric on it. Make sure this is exactly like this. Then you apply a piece of fabric like this, then press on your fabric so the heat generates heat that comes your press pad to your fabric. Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So after doing this for your center front, this is your center front. You're going to use the same formula to do for the other part of your center front, because this is going to be two piece. Then for your side front, which is this other part, all you are going to do for your side front is to place your side front like this. Then you can see all I have been working with is this straight part, and we're working with this straight part. This your curve, this shape is going to be inside. So what you are going to do now is to place this like this. Make sure this is sitting at your under bust. Make sure this your curve. Once you place it like this, it should be at the end of this your tip here. It should be at the end of this tip here. And make sure this is your under bust, because when curving, when curving, I curved my under bust like this when curving, when cutting out. If you don't know how it was able to make, if you have not watched the drafting video, go back and watch the drafting video. You will understand on how I was able to get this. So when you get to this point, make sure it sits at that exact point which you have your curve there. Make sure it sits at that exact point, and make sure this is also lapping here. And just go ahead to leave it like this other part. So you are still going to apply your fabric on your lining and press with your hot iron. After it is steamed and gummed together, you are going to trim out these excesses. So that was how I was able to get this shape which I have inside here for my side front. So if you use this formula, yours will be better than mine, because I was not able to use it. I don't have time to start making those calculations. So as I told you, so I just went on to do it. But this is a perfect way to get your calculation. So and there was no time for me to show you on how to pad. If not, I would have used that pattern, this pattern instead, to get this, because you are also seeing on how to pad. So just go ahead to apply this. And let me go straight to, okay, this is the lining part. So I went on to do the same formula, the same thing I did for the fabric. That is the same thing I'm going to do for the lining, because for a female wear, it's like we are sewing two dresses in one. So this is my center front and it's my side front for my lining. So what I'm going to do next is to sew. So the sewing process continues from here. So what I'm going to do now is to sew this my center front to my side front. So you can see how it looks. You can see the under part which I have here, my under which I notched. So that part is going to sit exactly at this your under bust, which the curve stopped, where the shape starts from. It's going to sit exactly on that point. So if it sits exactly on that point, it's going to rhyme with this your pad here. Once it is sitting on that point, if you have it correct, it's going to sit on that placing. Even if you do not have it correct when padding, you can still go ahead, but make sure it does not exceed more than a little, because sometimes when pressing the iron, based on if it's closed, it probably you might miss it a bit. That does not, it, it doesn't matter. So I hope I've made myself clear. So what you are going to do now is to sew from this down to this point. Then from here, you connect like this, sewing your 0.5 inch, which you have for your sewing allowance. That is the only thing you have for your sewing allowance. Don't exceed that 0.5 inch for your sewing allowance. Please don't exceed it. Go ahead to sew up to this length, and so do the same thing for the other parts of our side. Then for your back, for our back, this is our back, this is our center back, which we have our zipper allowance, and this is our side back. So what you are going to do now is to place your side back just like this. It's supposed to be like this. So you go ahead to place it like this. And so starting from the down part, you know, this also we started from the down part when sewing. So you're still going to start from the down part and sew 0.5 inch up to this up length there. So that's the same thing you are going to do for your lining fabric, because you are sewing exactly the same shape you are sewing for the back. That's what you are also doing for the front. So go ahead to do the same thing. So let me go ahead to do all of that, then come back to show you what you should get after doing all what I just said. So let me go ahead to do that. So I'm really sorry for not showing you this. I have gone ahead to sew it as well and to iron it open inside. So I went ahead to do the same for my back, but for my lining I went ahead to top stitch both the front and the back. After sewing it closed, I went ahead to top stitch on it. So for my front, all I did was to place my front on my back just like this. Then I mark out the depth of my neck. So what I have here now is 2.5. You can actually make use of 1.5, 2 inches for the depth. It all depends on how low or how high you want your back to be. So this is what I am using for this purpose. So what I'm going to do now is to I've already trimmed out my shoulder like this. Now getting my armhole curve like this. Getting my armhole curve like this. Oh, I think I did not even show you how to cut it off. I'll use the fabric, the lining to give you an example. So you just go ahead to trim it like this. So for the front, let me use the lining to give you an example. For the front, what I did was to locate my measurements, which I have for to get my shoulder measurement this way. Remember we took 3 inches for our sewing allowance. For our neck, the width of our neck, mark out your 7 inches for your shoulder, and try to get your bust. Before getting your bust, you need your line. You need your line which I used. So I was able to get my lines here at my main fabric. So let me go ahead to draft it down and continue with what I want to do to show you. Let me just go ahead to mark it on my fabric, on my lining, sorry. So I will give you an advice when doing this, so you don't go ahead so it does not give you trouble when doing just like what I'm doing here now. It is giving me trouble to get my bust. So what you are going to do when you draft on your fabric, then that you have not cut out or pad, that is the time you can go ahead to get your normal shape. I have several videos on how to do that, to get your shape before sewing. So I don't use that in this. So when you want to do, go ahead to use that the same formula, so it does not give you issues when doing. So after getting that your shoulder measurement, come down by 1 inch and connect your 1 inch to the width of your shoulder. Just connect it to this your shoulder line here. Then from here you get your bust measurement. So my bust measurement I'm working with is 8.5. Get your bust measurement plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then my waist measurement is 8. Get your waist measurement plus 2 inches for sewing allowance, just like that. So after this, what you are going to do is to connect from your shoulder down like this. just connect like I'm still going to trim this armhole, so I am not making any calculation for this, because after sewing I'm still going to get my armhole which I want, then still go ahead to trim off. So this was how I was able to get my front. And let me place it for you to see, so you can see what I have here. This was how I was able to get my front. So what I'm going to do now, we go ahead now to cut out. So what I'll do now, go ahead to cut out my lining using my front. So after getting this with your front, go ahead to cut like that, then use it to place on your lining to cut out. It is always using the fabric to cut out your lining. I prefer doing mine like that because that is the best way to do for my own case. This is the best way or the best formula which I have been using and which I learned or which I was taught. So this was what I have been using. It's okay. So after cutting with using your fabric to cut out your lining, do the same thing for your back, to use your fabric to cut out your lining. So it's as simple as ABC. Okay, so after cutting it out, what I'm going to do now is to sew my lining to lining and fabric to fabric, and I'm going to sew each piece joining their own bodies. So this is my front for my lining and my fabric. So what I'm going to do at this neckline, I'm going to run 0.5 inch down to this length. Then I'm going to give it a notch. Then I'm also going to top stitch it. And I'm not going to make this an inner sewing, so I'm also going to sew this close as well. So I'll do the same for my other parts. Go ahead to sew 0.5 inch, give it a notch, top stitch, and sew this other part. I'm also going to sew my neckline for the back, right side facing right side. Right side facing right side. I'm also going to sew my neck, give it a notch, top stitch it, sew my zipper allowance closed, sew my side closed, do the same for the other parts. Then I'll come back to show you the finished result of that. So I have gone ahead to sew it as I told you, and I've gone ahead to iron it. You can see I have my top stitch at my front part here, which is my neckline. I have my top stitch here. Here as well, I have my top stitch here. And this neck as well, I have my top stitch. So as you can see, I have everything set and ready. So what I'm going to do next is I can see my lines here, and I'm going to calculate what I have from here to my dark space there, what I have there. So what I have here is 2.3. 2.3, so I'm going to make here the same thing. Okay, 3 inches. I'm going to make it the same thing, 3 inches as this other part. So what I'm going to do is supposed to come to this front. So from this part, you can see my overlap here. So what I have from this line to this point, that's what I'm going to put at this other side. So I have 3 inches there. So I'm still going to put my 3 inches here. And what I'm going to do now is to give it a notch. I'm going to give it a notch just like this. And give this other part as well a notch. So after getting my notches like that, so this will enable me to place it equally. So I'm going to put each notch to be on top of the other. So it is going to be like this. So you can see I am mashing both notches together. So what I'm going to do now is to use my pins to hold it down. I'm going to use my pins to hold this down like this. If you want it to be a wrap, don't there is no need of doing this, there's no need of sewing this close, because I'm going to sew here close. If you want it to be a wrap, all you have to do is just to close your back and keep here open. Put your peplum, your overlap peplum, take your circumference. I have a video on how to get your overlap jacket. That's a wrap jacket overlap. So use that formula to also do this, and use this formula for that. It will give you a nice result also. The way that came out well, it will still give you a good result as that. So when padding your top, like your blouse, when padding it, if you do not have a formula, you can go ahead to use this. But if you want to use your formula which you have been using, you can as well go ahead to use that. I'm just giving this formula to those that do not know how to go ahead padding. So that is that. What I'm going to do now is to sew here, to sew it close, so I'll be able to get my bust measurement correct before going to the back. So let me go ahead to sew here close. So as you can see, I have sewn it closed. I have stitched it close. So what I'm going to do now is to get my zipper allowance for my back, and I'm going to fold it. I'm going to put it on fold. So what I'm going to do now is to place it on my back just like this. So this is my back. I'm going to place my front on my back just like this to mark out my zipper allowance. So if you have been following me, this is my easier formula which I have been using to get to go through my processes on how to sew. These processes are very easy for you to follow. So just go ahead to rule your sewing or mark out your zipper allowance just like this. Take this to this up, then bring it down just straight like this. You just go ahead to take it up away from this up downward just like that. So what I'm going to do next, make sure when marking this, I always say this, make sure when marking this, you are marking it in a way that you will be able to see the line when sewing, because you are going to stitch on this line. So when placing your fabric, if you place it this way, it might give you difficulty. You make it to sew through here, and I like sewing from the up, so I place it like this so that I will be able to sew from the up downward. So let me go ahead to sew it, my zipper allowance closed, then I'll go ahead to iron it, then show you after. So I have gone ahead to sew my zipper allowance closed, to place my front on my back, to get my measurements on every side. So this is what I'm going to do now, just to place my front on my back just like this to get my measurements on it. So after placing it like this, you need to get your measurement as usual. So you can see how the bust is very nice and very beautiful. So this was what I was able to use to make my bust to be this nice. So I have a video on how to create this. In case you don't have one of these, you really need this. You need it in different sizes. You need this in small. This is the smaller size, which I use. I also have the size of bigger ones, which I also use. So go ahead to learn on how to use this, so it will help you a lot. So I'll be drop the link down below for you to follow on how to wash and create yours by yourself. So what I'm going to do now is to get my bust measurement, my bust, which is 38 divided by 2. This time it is going to be divided by 2. So my 38 divided by 2, this will give me 19. That's what I'm going to place here. So how to get my measurements, you know, if you have been following me, you should know this better. Let me raise this so I'll be able to get it correctly. You should know this. So divided by 2, then what do I have here? 3 divided by 2, 1.5. So I have 1.5 here and 1.5 at this other part as well. So before that, let me go ahead to pin this before, so it does not shake. So I'm going to pin both sides, pin the waist side as well, so it does not disturb me when taking my measurements. Okay, so over to my waist now. So my waist is 32. 32 divided by 2 will give me 16. That is what I'm going to take from this end in place here. Mark my 16. What do I have here? I have 3.2 divided by 2 will give me 1.6. So I'm going to place my 1.6 here and place the same 1.6 at this other part. So it is very easy to calculate if in case you don't know how to get your accurate body measurements. Yeah, you have a chance on how to do that. I have several videos which I have shown on how to do this, and I still want to show it here in case you have not seen those ones. This will give you a clue and make it easier for you to understand. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to sew this close and sew the shoulder close and iron it and come back to show you what we have after that. So you can see what I have here. I have gone ahead to iron it. Let me bring it back for you to see. So you can see how neat this looks. Whenever you are sewing, make sure you always work with your iron. For me, there is not iron, there is no sewing. That is for me. So make sure you have that kind of mentality so your work will be neat. So you can see inside of this, I went ahead to iron it open after sewing. If you don't know how to sew this, I have several videos to show you on how to sew it. It's very easy to sew. So went ahead to iron my side open and turn it out and iron the sides, iron the shoulder. So this is what the result looks after all of that. So let me cross check my neck, the depth of my neck for you to see. So this is the end of my shoulder overlap, just like this. So the depth of my neck, so it's supposed to be 8, supposed to be 8. So this is what I have here. I have 8, exactly 8 inches here. So you can see my top and you can see where my overlap stops. So when you take a close look, 8. If you follow that formula which I showed you from the cutting process, if you have not watched the cutting process, you have a long way to go. So you need to go back to understand on how to cut it or how to draft it, so you can be able to understand on how to couple it to get to this extent, so you don't miss on your way. So what you are going to do now is to cut out your armhole. Cut out your armhole. And how I cut my armhole, I go ahead to cross check my shoulder measurement. So what I have here is 15 and I need 14 for my shoulder measurement. So what I'm going to do now, what I have here now is 4, so I'm going to reduce 0.5 inch from this, because in total of this is 4. I'm going to reduce 0.5 inch for both sides, so making it 3.5. So I have 3.5 here, and here as well I'm still going to have 3.5 at this other part. So after getting my 3.5, I'm going to determine my armhole. Your armhole is your bust divided by 4. Sorry, your bust divided by 6. So my bust is 38 divided by 6. Easiest way just to measure your tip like this. This now is in 2. My bust is divided into 2 like this. So this one part now you're going to divide it by 3. So I'm going to divide this by 3. So what do I have here? Divide this by 3. I have 6.3 here plus 1.5 inch. Let me say 6.5 plus 1.5 inch. I have 8.5. I have 8.5 for my armhole. So 8.5 is what I'm supposed to get here. So what I'm going to do now, I'll try to get my 8.5 connecting my cord like this. Here is 8. So I'm making it 7.5 like this. Connect it down to this. Make sure you cross check before cutting out if it is sitting at the 8.5 before you cut out, or sitting at your measurement before you cut out. So what I have here now is 9, so that is much. So I'm going to take 7 again, cross check my 7, because I need 8.5 for my, so I have 8.5 here. So here now is 7 for the length. So that is what I'm still going to do at the other part. So from that, my 3.5 inch which I have there, that is what how I was able to connect it like this. Then cut out. So this other part as well, I'm going to do the same thing, 7 inches, just like this. And connect from my 3.5 downward, just like this. Then connect here. Hope you can see what I'm doing, or am I going too far? And connect here like this. Very easy to get your armhole, very easy, just like this. So we have come to a conclusion of this video, so you can go ahead to be creative yourself, put in your sleeve, whatever kind of sleeve you want. This is where you are going to do that. So if you have watched up to this extent, if you have enjoyed all the processes which we have come through, don't forget to like this tutorial and share these videos to your friends for them to also learn, and subscribe to my channel in case you have not subscribed already. In case you have been watching and learning and you have not subscribed, I don't know why you have not subscribed to the channel all this while that you have been watching. At least you have been learning and gaining from this. So I want you to push this channel by subscribing so others can also see and subscribe as well. And don't forget to give it a like, a thumbs up if you find it helpful to you. So I just want to say thank you for coming or staying tuned to this length. I really appreciate your effort for learning. So thank you, stay safe, and as always, remain blessed.